I'm telling you, this is just not going to be my episode. If it's Tuesday, it can mean only one thing, and that one thing is it's time for Comic Book School Live. My name is Buddy Scalera, and I am one of your favorite writers. But you know who your real favorite writer is? This guy, Mike the Knife Fasolo. Not one, not two, but three-time Emmy Award-winning screenwriter and beloved mayor of California.
Yes.
Did you have a mayor of California?
Yes.
I guess. No, you have a governor.
We have a governor.
I will tell you, Mike. I don't know. Did you notice that was the intro stuttering a little bit?
The intro seemed fine, but there was a blank space right after it.
There was. Yeah. So something didn't go right. And you know what? Something doesn't always go right, Mike. When you're trying to be a writer, sometimes things just don't go the way you want them to go. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes writers, even highly paid professional writers like you, Mike, will sometimes get stuck. I never get stuck, but sometimes writers get stuck. And the reason you get stuck, Mike, I know the reason I get stuck is I'm trying to do a really good job. But then when I realize I don't have to, I just let it all just flow out. Because people will just buy anything with my name on it.
Well, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? I don't know. The majority of the buying public doesn't buy anything with my name on it. Mike, why do you get stuck? Why do writers get stuck? Why do they get writer's block?
There's a myriad of reasons.
A myriad. Does that mean a lot?
A lot.
Or is like my cornucopia, or my least favorite word, plethora.
You don't like plethora?
I think it's the worst word to show. It's a word that you learn when you're trying to show you've learned a big vocabulary word, but it's really a terrible word. Just say a lot.
Writers get stuck a lot, Bud.
They do. And there's a plethora of reasons for that.
Yeah, cornucopia reasons.
There's a cornucopia of reasons. Mike, what's the most common reason that you get stuck?
I get stuck just because I'm waiting for that inspiration. Like sometimes you sit down at your computer or wherever and you can just get out, 5-10 pages and it's effortless. And then you go to do the same thing next day and you're like, my brain's empty.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. So Gatilla wants to know, what about pleather?
Pleather is good.
Pleather. I actually quite like pleather. I thought pleather and naugahyde, sort of the cousins of fake leather. I kind of like pleather.
Pleather's a good word.
Pleather's a good word. So is naugahyde, named after the now extinct naga, which was green and red and did not blend in well with nature. And they just
but it was basically scratch proof.
But they came from the naga.
Yeah, well,
lived in the wild.
It was a tough creature.
It couldn't blend in with anything. That's why it didn't survive. Anyway, so Mike, I was thinking that we needed a topic for the show, and probably I should just fix this. I don't know why. Anthony,
you should put it on random and just see what happens.
Plethora is the feminine of pleather. Huh. I didn't know we could genderize it. I don't think that works. I don't think it conjugates at all.
It doesn't work properly.
I don't think plethora works for anything. And either way you pronounce it, plethora or plethora, doesn't really matter. Don't say it.
Take it off your list. Do not write it either.
Do not write it. So when writers get stuck, and sometimes members of our audience will be faced with the blank page and the blinking cursor, and they don't know what to do. And the worst thing that ever happened, Mike, was the internet. Yeah. And right after that, Wikipedia. Yep. Right? Because you're down a rabbit hole with Godzilla. Oh, hold on. He says, I only think that works when you speak Spanish. Oh, right.
I'm lost in that whole plethora conversation.
We're done with plethora. Be done. So, Mike, you run down that rabbit hole. Wikipedia, the worst invention for writers, simultaneously the greatest thing and the worst thing ever. And I asked you on short notice to generate a list of either inspiration or insight that our writers could take away. I added a few myself. what do you say we take our writers through our big ideas and inspiration? What do you think?
I say you fire it up.
All right. All right. The audience is. That's a long loop. All right, here we go. This is one of yours, Mike. What? Neil Gaiman, one of our collective all-time favorites, especially for comic book writers. He is a godlike figure of writing and writing inspiration.
Yes. And he says ideas come essentially from daydreaming, which is true.
Which is something you're like pro level daydreaming, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. 99% of my day is daydreaming.
I will tell you, one of the funny things about Mike that a lot of you don't know is that when most people have a half a second, like literally like, oh my God, the light just turned red. Let me check my email. Or I'm standing online. Let me do something. Mike, you don't do that. Like
No.
you actually just
just
keep
stand
your phone
there
in your pocket, and you don't need to be occupied at every passing moment.
It's just that blank stare off into space, wondering what I'm doing with my life.
You can be amazingly patient too, Mike. I know that both your wife and I sometimes can't get our asses into gear and get out of the house. But you're still patient. Like you're not there on your phone. You're like literally, you might be hate daydreaming, but you're not distracting yourself.
No, it's a skill I've learned over the years, because you have to, sometimes you just got to shrug your shoulders and be like, yeah, that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. So, okay. So good one from Neil Gaiman, leading off, Mike. You're doing good. I think the next one is probably you. There you go. Oh, let me pull it up. Yeah. And there you go.
Go people watching. Imagine their lives. That's Judy. Did I spell that name wrong, or did you? Judy Blume.
I think I merged it with Jordan Blume, who was a guest a couple of weeks ago, and Judy Blume, the actual author, does have an E on the end of it.
Yes.
I agree with this. I have you ever done the game where you just try to figure out what's this person's story?
Yes, I do that a lot. Like whenever you're out, at a restaurant or a cafe or whatever, just sitting out there, can be by yourself or with somebody, and you just go, I wonder what those two are talking about, or I wonder where that person is going. Like if you see somebody pass on the street, and it's always fun to just go with whatever pops into your head.
I agree, and you could either like be creative and receptive, or you could be judgmental the way I am, which is, what's this effing guy's story? What's this effing guy? Oh yeah, you just got out. You big shot got a raise. That's what I do. You don't know your wife is home. She's cheating on you. You don't know. You see that girl over there that you winked at? She ain't interested.
It'd be fun to be in your head sometimes, bud.
It is. But then sometimes you just go people watching and you figure out who is that person, and also throw some shade on them. Be judgmental.
Oh yes.
I'm not being funny at this point. Like if you're thinking about characters, like judge them, look at them. You're not hurting their feelings. You don't have to be mean to them, but you do have to go and dive deep into what's happening.
Yes.
Hold on. This is those can be the greatest stories.
Yeah,
Agreed.
because they are, they're all in your head, but they also could be true. Oh, you never know.
Right. So Redheaded Ed says those can be the greatest stories, and people watching is a good idea. Okay, I think the next one, this one is yours. But Mike, can you do this in a Shakespearean accent for us?
You ready?
Yeah, I've been ready.
Write till your ink be dry, and with your tears moist it again, and frame some feeling line that may discover such integrity.
What does that even mean?
And scene. I have no idea what it means. It basically means just write till you can't write anymore.
I think that it's to me it's about not trying to protect yourself as a writer, and really just if you're feeling neutral about your work, you're not letting enough go. There's not integrity in your work. There's not integrity in your stories. And that's why you're getting stuck. But if you're willing to like open up your heart, and like look at the things that you've done wrong in your life, look at the things that are relatable. And my feeling is when you do that and you shed a few tears because you're like, I am an awful person and I have messed up so many people's lives. I'm just in your head, Mike. This is you thinking.
Yeah, all the time.
And then that's where the story comes. That's when the ideas start to flow, and that's where you discover integrity. What do you think?
I think that's good, and that actually ties into another quote, which I don't know if it's.
Oh yeah, I think we do have a second quote from Shakespeare, which was, "Do it for the Benjamins."
Because that was his big inspiration, I think. The Benjamins.
Yeah. Mike, you get a. Mike, tell the audience why you love this quote so much.
Because it's clearly not from Shakespeare, and yet someone could put this on the internet, and someone else would be like, "Yeah, he said that."
Because you said Benjamin Franklin didn't even exist when he. So do it for the Benjamins. Good one. Okay. Daniel Handler. This was the Lemony Snicket guy, right, Mike?
I believe so. Yes.
I think so. So why don't you give us the Lemony version of Danny Handler's quote.
Don't overlook the ordinary. Take everyday, average, ordinary things and consider them in a different way.
Huh.
Which is great, because I'm a big fan of this. Just seeing something average, like, a postman delivering the mail, and don't be like, oh, that's a postman delivering the mail. Twist it. What's he delivering? Why is he delivering it? Is he dropping off a ransom note? Is, he an alien that's come down to, give someone a special knowledge of the future? Something. Take it and twist it just enough to make it fun and exciting, or crazy and scary.
And I think Breaking Bad, the television show, was exceptional at this, which is they could zoom in on something, a doll, a piece of, a shoe, whatever, and then pull out and give you the full context. But like really saying what is extraordinary about this object, and then blowing your mind, and then in the end tying it all back together again, and giving it a charge and meaning, and looking at those items in a totally different way. And I just think that if you look at Breaking Bad, particularly the season with the plane crash, right? And every episode, they starts off, there's stuff bobbing in the swimming pool, and you're like, what is that? And it's ordinary items. And then you go, oh, okay. So I think this is a really good one. By the way, going back, Anthony Pierce, he remembers when Shakespeare said that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. So, and Anthony Pierce, he's been around.
He knows what he's talking about.
He's been around. All right, let's see. Cormac McCarthy, famous probably for not the least of which is novels, but the adaptations. I read The Road, which was made into a movie. Did you ever see that movie?
I did not see it, because I heard it was one of the most depressing films
ever. Is. And then you can watch the movie, and then you could read the book and feel just as badly about humanity as you did when you saw the movie. It is. I have to tell you, it's so hard to watch. And then you read it, and it was so hard to read.
Well, he got this from a conversation with his son. And it was, I forget the exact exchange, but it was something like his son asked him, what would you do if I died? And he, remembered that conversation with his kid and just extrapolated the entire book of The Road from it. Like,
that's awful. Well, and I might be wrong about this. So if somebody knows, correct me. But I believe that when he was a younger writer and first came to the United States from Ireland, Garth Ennis used to walk around with a notebook and write dialogue down, funny things, because he was trying to capture the sound of American speech. And since he was not American and he had been mostly watching it from films, he was listening to organic American speech. So he was talking to people, he was paying attention. And I think it just goes to also good listening skills.
I don't have those.
You do. Hold on. Gatilla says, I prefer my post-apocalypses to be Australian and ridiculous. Thanks. You know what, Glenn? That doesn't mean you can't have a ridiculous post-apocalyptic Australian-based road warrior type of show, but you can also have a highly depressing one like The Road by Cormac McCarthy. So they can both coexist. But it's a good piece of advice. Talk to people and be an active, like really listen and then write them down.
Write it all down.
Write it all down. All right, here we go. Chuck Palahniuk, probably most famous for Don't Talk About Fight Club, but some others as well. Chuck Palahniuk also wrote the not very well reviewed movie Choke. Did you ever see Choke?
I think I saw Choke a long time ago.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Choke though.
But Fight Club, genius movie. Talk about why don't you read out this quote for us there, Mike?
This is, write yourself out of real life issues. Take terrible personal experiences and turn them into something less awful, less personal things. That's what you were talking about before. Like if you think you're a bad person, you can take that issue, those issues, and twist them so, they're not as bad.
Mike, I'm generally, if I'm using a personality for something, I'm using my own personality as the villain.
You?
Yeah, or the clueless, completely clueless, dope doofus who doesn't know how to take a hint. That is
basing it all on yourself.
Right. There's a lot of people that are like, they think very highly of themselves. Like, I'm the hero, whatever. And you could see people using it, not me.
You're the opposite of that.
I am Mr. Low Self-Esteem. So let's go to the next one. Jose Saramago. I had to look this up. Portuguese writer. Didn't know anything about him. Looked him up on Wikipedia. Was going to dump this one, but I thought it was a really great quote. And, hold on. And how does that explain Palahniuk's short story Guts, the one that caused folk to vomit? I didn't actually say that I liked Palahniuk. In fact, I've read quite a lot of Palahniuk, and he's a hard read. Like, you got to commit. Have you ever read Chuck Palahniuk books?
I've never read Chuck Palahniuk, no.
Yeah. Fight Club is great. Choke is a little hard to read. Some of his books are just downright difficult to read, and I don't think I want to read Guts if it makes people throw up.
No, that's disgusting.
Palahniuk is maybe the Bukowski of our generation. I don't know, but I liked it. But still, Glenn, did you throw up from reading it? That's the question.
That's gross.
And maybe you don't even have to answer it. Okay, so Mike, Jose gives us a great quote. Why don't you read that out?
Ask hypothetical questions. What would happen if death took a holiday? Now, this one I added in as my own. What would you do if you thought you saw a murder in a building or a house next door?
So you and Jose kind of a mashup?
Yeah, I called them up and I was like, hey, do you think I could put this in your quote? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? So it was just one of those things that I thought was a good throw in as to add on to his quote.
All right, we're gonna fix this one. This way we don't mess people up.
Plagiarized. But yeah, his quote about the death taking a holiday, yes, that's all his. But I'm a big fan of this type of thing where you just ask yourself, what if? Because then you can go off in any direction that you want, and it leads to awesome ideas.
It's a great quote. It's a great quote, and I wanted to fix it properly.
Yes, thank you.
I did it right here live on the show.
And Jose thanks you as well.
I think Jose would be very happy to know that we took the time to get it right. Quite a list of publications. I don't know any of his works, but I just thought great quote.
Yep. Well done, Jose.
Gotilla says, I have started story using Jose's idea. Like right now, a minute ago, he started a new story.
Probably a plethora of stories.
I hope not. All right. I didn't like your Stephen King one, so I put one myself, so I'll read this one. If you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all others: read a lot and write a lot. There's no way around these two things that I'm aware of. No shortcut. When I'm stuck, Mike, I read. I just, and I don't necessarily read um, sci-fi if I'm writing something sci-fi. I don't read something mystery if I'm writing mystery. I just read, because what it does is it forces your brain into a space, and then sometimes after you put that book down, you're like, oh, and it really sometimes doesn't have anything to do with the book, but I believe it has to do with relaxing your brain. So when I'm stuck, I do some reading, and then sometimes I just will write gobbledygook blog post or something, and maybe not even save it. What about you, Mike? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if I would read if I was stuck, because then I would get into that story and I wouldn't be thinking of the story I was trying to write. But I mean, I guess it could take you out of your own brain and free some hard drive space up.
Well, if you're stuck,
I'm stuck all the time.
You're not stuck all the time. You've won awards for the writing that you've done. So you sometimes you can deliver. Okay, so what else we got? This is one I pulled. The first draft of anything is shit.
They call it the vomit draft in Hollywood.
The vomit draft. And I think the key thing here is you get stuck when you think that you're going to write something that's good in the first draft. And even Hemingway knew first draft is not good. You just got to get it out. The vomit draft, as you called it, is hugely important. You just have to be willing to get it out there. And I think too many people get stuck because they're trying to make that first draft good.
Yeah,
instead of just putting it on paper.
I'm one of them, because even if it's not getting out the full draft, if I'm writing a page and I'm like, I got to make this page sound really good, instead of just throwing it out there and moving on, I'll right. sit there and be stuck on that, one sentence or page or paragraph or whatever, just because I'm like, oh, this really should make sense right now, but it doesn't need to.
Yeah, and fortunately, even after your fourth draft, things still don't make sense. So. By the way, Anthony, going back to the last one, is it over here? Where's the mouse? All right, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Vomit drafts are vital. None of the work does you any good in your head. Writing is rewriting, so you're gonna fix it later anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think when people get stuck, often it's because they're not willing to say, oh, they're trying to write Hemingway level. Well, Hemingway said that first draft is shit.
Yes, like I said, I tend to do this. Writing is rewriting, and I seriously dislike rewriting. I'm like, just get it done the first one and be happy with it.
Be happy with it. Just a quick note, Anthony had also noted, just a few minutes of reading a good writer will inspire me to jump back into what I'm doing. I don't know if good writing or bad writing doesn't really matter. Sometimes bad writing just gets me frustrated, and I'm like, I better just go and do something else. I better get back to work.
I gotta retile my basement.
Yeah, I gotta retile my basement. Okay. I added this because Hunter S. Thompson. Did you ever read a lot of much Hunter S. Thompson?
I did not, and you're still on the Ernest Hemingway one.
No. Hunter S. Thompson, famous for writing Fear and Loathing. I love this quote from him. It doesn't have a lot to do with writing, but it has to do with experience. And Hunter Thompson says, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride.
I agree, but I think I would probably be one of those people that would rather arrive safely and pretty.
You and me, Mike, are so different.
I know that you would do the wow, what a ride one.
Yeah. I'd be like, get on, no time to explain. I think that this quote well encapsulates the way Hunter Thompson lived his life, died. And I think, for certain people, this is a great source of writing inspiration, which is getting out there and living a hard, brave, crazy, experience-filled life.
Yep. Do everything you can.
Do everything you can. All right. So, Mike, I believe it is trivia time. And you have... Oh, hold on. Let's go back because I don't know why it takes so long. Thompson did a lot of drugs, too, so he didn't feel it. Well, that's true, Glenn. That's true. He did do a lot of drugs. Okay, trivia time, Mike. Let's see if we can give you a little bit of, hold on. All right, Mike.
Is that the trivia theme music?
I don't know. How does it? Do you like it?
No.
No. Yeah, me neither. I just put one in.
It needs to be weird music.
All right, Mike, you gave us something called Sky Trumpets.
Sky Trumpets. Now, these are...
Now, not to be confused with bathroom trumpets, right?
What's a bathroom trumpet?
Mike, come on. After we go to Taco Bell, you've got bathroom trumpets.
Yeah, these sky trumpets have been heard all over the world. They've come into real prominence in the last, I'd say, decade or so with the internet, so they could be filmed. But they've been recorded back in the 1800s of just these weird, booming, sometimes screechy, sometimes screaming sounding noises that just appear like from the sky. There's nothing that can be pinpointed to. And they go on for sometimes, up to a couple of minutes. And like I said, in the last decade or so, people have been recording them because obviously with the phones and stuff, they can be easily recorded. And no one knows. Even NASA has been there and been like, hey.
Oh, even NASA.
Even NASA. They can't explain them. They don't know what they are. They have theories as to what they could be, but the theories are all weird. Sorry, if this was underwater, would it be more entertaining to you?
This is a classic of the kind. It's totally valid, and but Mike, come on, weird trumpet noises in the sky. What's caught? What is
exactly?
And I just want to note something. And the picture caption of the woman. A woman reacts to hearing a strange noise coming from the sky in Texas. I don't know. Is she really reacting to it, or is it really good-looking girl serves as anchor image for story in the San Diego Union Tribune? Right? They didn't get like me. They didn't get me like this.
Then people wouldn't believe it at all.
No one would read it. And yet here you stopped. And like Anthony's got a thought. He said, it's those angels. They're clowning around again wearing those big, clunky shoes. Laurie Anderson.
I don't know who Laurie Anderson is.
I don't know who Laurie Anderson is. But clunky shoes would probably be thunder. But trumpets, noises in the sky. All right, here, I'm going to go with my trivia. My trivia is I'm Agent Scully, and I am just going to prove the science behind this and just say that this is a whole lot of honking, horn-blowing malarkey that is quite literally a bunch of pranksters. I cannot tell you how frustrating this kind of stuff is for me.
How can you like some of the noises they say sound like, trains, that screechy noise of trains going around the corner. Now, wait a minute. What if you're in a spot that's hundreds of miles away from any trains?
What?
I didn't hear the noise.
What? No, yeah. I heard this sound and I didn't see a guy with a Blaupunk stereo behind me. I looked up in the sky and the only thing I heard was a train. Wow. Hold on. Let's just see. Disciplines of Lovecraft. I think he meant disciples of Lovecraft and Aleister Crowley have agitated the old gods, and that's their groan. So Gatilla's going big. He's going big. Yeah. He's like the old god.
Go big or go home.
And he said, I just listened to one on another tab. Creepy.
Exactly. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Why are you encouraging Mike? Mike, this kind of thing is so frustrating because it's like, oh no, there was a sound and I didn't know where it was coming from. So I looked up in the sky.
See, you live behind a highway. So if you heard that that noise, you'd be like, oh, it's something on the highway. But what if you heard highway noises, say, and you lived out in the middle of the Ozarks where there are no highways? What are you going to do then? What's the sound being caused by, bud?
You know, I have to think that there's other humans somewhere potentially who could be making noise with speakers, pranks. Where are you going with this? You're stuck with this turd of a trivia. What are you going to do with trivia?
You know what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to take your usual comedy spin, and I'm going to say that this is an extra dimensional link to an elementary or middle school band practicing, and the noise is just bleeding through, and we can hear it. That's why it's all so terrible and screechy.
Wait, what? But if you're in the Ozark,
it's just like a portal that can bleed through some music. Like in the other dimension, it's the school intercom that they're pushing, and it's coming through to us.
I don't think either of us are going to get picked up for this. For this. Gatilla says it sounds like the end of Close Encounters, but the aliens are pissed off. Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Gatilla. You saw the alien spaceship, right? So you were able to see the spaceship. So
what if you didn't? Sense. Okay, now taking this Close Encounters one, what if you heard the music and the sound, but you didn't see the spaceship? Would you be like, oh, there's some guy playing a keyboard somewhere?
No, I might not. And you're right. You're right. But this is all over the world. People are hearing those weird trumpet noises in the sky, and they're like, what is that noise? I saw an unidentified flying sound.
The picture just threw you off.
It's an unidentified sound. They were like, no, put your hair back. Get the two glimmers of the sun on your sunglasses.
You're not focusing on what it is. You're focusing on the person in the picture.
I'm also focusing on the clickbait of what's causing those weird trumpet noises in the sky.
Hey, people didn't know what UFOs were, and now they're being broadcast on the news. So
this is clickbaity the way things like on BuzzFeed are like, Taylor Swift's out with a new guy, and the internet can't even.
And then
I'm always like, damn me for clicking on that because I need to know what they can't even. Right? And they just put, and the internet can't even. And I'm like, you won't believe. I'm always like, or celebrities, your celebrity crush from the 80s, you won't believe what they look like now. I'm always like,
so you'd be the guy behind somebody with the speakers making this noise and then giggling like a little schoolgirl.
that schoolgirl with the goatee.
It's a strange looking schoolgirl.
Very sad looking schoolgirl. I will tell you, Mike. All right, I got to tell you, you did a great job with the writer's quotes. Let's give Mike a big thank you for tonight.
And the bell.
And I will say that the trivia, maybe not our favorite, but otherwise a good one. Mike, we have some guests planned coming up soon. We'll be able to announce it, and we will also be announcing our NYCC events.
Yeah, that's good theme music for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that overwhelmingly loud?
It's a little loud, but it's not overwhelming.
Well, I just want everybody to know that we're like, comment, and subscribe, and we will definitely see you next week. See you next week, everybody. Bye, Redheaded Ed.